Hi, I'm Dr. Diane Duckett, and welcome to another episode of Becoming You. This podcast is to help assist you in becoming a better, successful you in life and in business. I am delighted to share with you today on just that. We know that becoming a better you takes work. In fact, it takes a lot of work that we sometimes really don't want to do ourselves. So today, I want to talk about growing from a no. Growing from a no. Do you remember a time in your life when you was told no? Think about that no for a minute. And as you think about that no, what did it teach you? Or did it teach you anything at all? One of the things that I've learned is that a no can be a blessing in disguise. That no kept you from something. That no kept you from doing something that, God didn't want you to do in the first place. And so sometimes no's come in blessings as a disguise. And oftentimes we don't see it as that. We just see it as someone just told us no. And sometimes we get offended by the no. And the response to the no may put you in a funk because you were so used to getting a yes for whatever you wanted. And sometimes you're not going to always get the yeses that you want. Everybody's not going to always say yes to you, when you want to hear the yes. But sometimes we need those no's because those no's is what's going to help us to learn how to grow in ourselves and help us learn how to become the person that God has truly created us to be. I'm reminded of the biblical story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. You see, Adam and Eve lived a lavish life. They had no worries or cares at all. They were living a golden life. They had everything they needed. They lacked nothing. They were free to be what God had called them to be. They were in position to soar, to thrive, and to flourish where God positioned them. However, there was one stimulation that God gave them. He told them, you can have anything. He said that. He said, you can have anything you want, but the only thing you cannot have or partake of is the fruit from the tree of knowledge or good and evil. Now, Adam and Eve never questioned God when he said, no, that they couldn't partake of the tree. No, they never questioned him. They didn't, if God said it, it was so. They didn't need to, question the God that brought them, to a place of position where they were able to soar, thrive, and flourish in the land that God had given them, which was the Garden of Eden. And so all they knew was this was God's no, telling them to stay away from the tree. And that was, at that moment is what they were going to do. They were going to stay away from that tree. Now we know that when we were young, our parents would tell us, no, you can't have that. No, you can't do that. And because the no was so strong, our inquiring minds wanted to test the waters to see what would happen if we disobeyed what our parents just told us no on. And so what would the consequences be if we just went on and did it anyhow? This is what happened to Eve. This is what happened to Eve. She was in the garden mining, mind you. She was minding her own business, gleaning at the beautiful or at the beauty of nature God had created, even gleaning at the delicious fruit hanging from the tree that God told her that she wasn't able to, partake of or even, go near it, right? And so now we know she was going to, we know she wasn't going to touch it because God had already told her, that, no, you cannot, go to that tree. You cannot touch that tree. You cannot eat from that tree because that tree, that's the tree that I just don't want you to touch. Right? God didn't give them no explanation of why they weren't supposed to touch the tree or go to the tree or seek the tree out. But no, God just told them, no, that's one place that you cannot go, but you can go anywhere else in the garden. So she just wanted to look, as she was gleaning, upon the nature that God had created, and gleaning at the delicious fruit hanging from the tree. Now we know she wasn't going to touch it. She just wanted to look at the fruit. But of course, there always has to be something lurking around to tempt you, and what God told you, no, you couldn't have. So yeah, the tempter comes in and says, doesn't that fruit look good? Doesn't that fruit look delicious? Don't you want to bite that fruit? Don't you want to eat that fruit? That fruit will, is going to, be good to your taste buds, basically. And so don't you want to know what it tastes like, Eve? And Eve tells the tempter, I'm not allowed to touch or go near the tree because God told me I couldn't. And so now, why would God, this tempter saying, tell you that? Why would he tell you that you can't go over there to that tree? He just told you that so you would know more than him. Girl, don't listen to him. It's okay to eat that fruit. So Eve was convinced by the tempter to eat the fruit, in which she did. And she ate that fruit. Not only did she eat the fruit, but she gave the fruit to Adam. And Adam ate the fruit as well. And so now they were already becoming, right? They were already becoming. God had set the stage up for them so great that they didn't lack anything, right? They was living the life, right? They was living the life, and because they was living the life, they was going to be able to flourish, once again, flourish and soar and thrive in that which God had given them. But they messed up. They messed up the flow of becoming who God was creating them to become, because they took God's no and did not grow from it. Yes, they took his no and did not grow from it. They actually fell from the no. How do I know that? Because when they heard God, coming, they hid themselves from him because they knew they did something he told them not to do. And as a matter of fact, they were so ashamed that they covered themselves with fig leaves. And as God is looking for them, he shouts out, to Adam, where are you? Where art thou? And so Adam's like, I'm behind the bushes. Well, what are you doing behind the bushes? Who, because, I was naked. Well, who told you was naked? Who told you was naked? And so because they ate, that fruit, the forbidden fruit that God told them, not to eat, and that God told them not to even go near that tree, now there has to be some type of consequences. Now they're being exposed, to something that was trying to be a blessing in the sky, something that was trying to keep them from falling, basically. And so you see, shame and guilt can cause one to hide because of what they did. It can cause one to hide because of what a person has done. And so now God tells them, because you disobeyed me, Eve, when you give birth, this is the consequences. Like, this is the consequences from, rejecting the no that, God had given, right? And so Eve, he tells Eve now, okay, so you want to disobey me? All right, so now what's going to happen is you're going to, when you give birth, you're going to have hard labor, and it's going to be painful. Basically, it's going to be painful. And Adam, sir, you will work by the sweat of your brows. Oh, yes, you will. You will toil the land until you can't toil the land any longer or any further. And this was the consequence they both received from not growing from the no. No, they couldn't just, ignore the tempter. They couldn't just, ignore the tempter. No, they had to allow the tempter to convince them, of eating the fruit, because the tempter was saying, like, this fruit is really, really good, and you don't want to miss the taste of this fruit, so don't listen to what God is saying, because God doesn't want you to eat this fruit, because once you eat this fruit, you're going to know more than him. And so, of course, inquiring minds want to know. Eve wanted to know. She wanted to know, okay, what does this fruit taste like? It does look good. And so she pulls the fruit from the tree, and she, bites into it, and she sees that it tastes good, and then she offers it to, Adam. And so this is why one can't really grow into their full potential, because they take the no for granted. And sometimes people don't care about the no they just the no that they just received. No, they just go ahead and do it. They don't care about the ramifications. They don't care about the consequences, because guess what? That no wasn't basically, some people say, oh, that no's not for me. That no's not for me, because I'm always, they always tell me yes. I can do whatever I want, because I don't receive no's, right? So they don't care about the consequences, and they will have to face those consequences because of it, because they disobeyed or rejected the no that someone, was sharing with them, telling them no, they couldn't, no, for whatever reason the no was for. And so, can I tell you, becoming you must learn how to grow from a no. We've all been told, at least once or many times in our lives, when we were told no about what we what we could or couldn't do. And yes, there's no's. Those no's can make you feel some type of way, because no's are less fun. No's are signals of defeat. And when someone tells you no, you feel a little piece of you is dying, right? You are bruised and you are hurt. You're diminished in the eyes of others and even in your own eyes. But here's the thing. Here is the thing. Since our lives are filled with negotiations, we all know that no's await us. All. So, you may have somebody lurking around that corner, trying to seek, that's what the enemy does, trying to seek whom he can devour. You're going to have those lurkers. But we have to know how to respond to the no's, when we are told no, we can't. And we can't be tempted to reject the no because someone wants to lurk around the corner to tell us otherwise. If you just go ahead and do it, this is going to happen to you. You're going to be blessed, highly favored and all that stuff, right? But that no can be a blessing in disguise. That no can be keeping you away from the very thing that God doesn't want you to have consequences for, right? So how do you grow from a no? How do you grow from a no? We have to understand that no's make you stronger. A no forces you to consider how committed you are to something. How committed you are to something, even though you may want to move forward in your own way, but that no forces you to reconsider how committed you are to something. A no can sometimes lead you to even recommit to a principle or a value or belief that you have. And sometimes even when you have those beliefs and values and stuff like that, you will even reject those, because your belief system or your value system was not as strong as you thought it was. It was probably something that you just wrote and say, okay, I believe, this is what my value is. I'm a family, kind of person, or I'm not gonna be a person with boundaries. So if you ask any athlete, and they will tell you that they learned far more about themselves from defeat than from winning. Ask any scholar about the process of getting an academic degree. It is filled with no's, but no's help you to grow in areas of your life you thought you did not need to grow in. I'm with this business, called Total Life Changers, and one of the things that you have to do is you have to get out there and you have to sell. You got to sell the product. And sometimes, when you go out there, when I go out there and sell the product, I may get quite a few no's, right? And so I should not allow those no's. Sometimes those no's will hurt in the beginning, because you're expecting everybody to say yes to, a product that will make you, healthier, and make you feel good, basically. So, in the beginning, the no's were, kind of, hurtful, not hurtful in the fact like you hurt me or whatever. No, but it was just like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to say no. So, that no helped me, to grow in that no, right? So it wasn't a rejection. It wasn't a rejection of, I don't want to, buy this product, or not now or whatever. It was just something that I needed to learn within myself, to say, okay, rejection is going to come. People are going to say no. And so how do I move from a no, to growing, from a no. And so I had to sit back and I had to think about it. Like, it just wanted me to push even further. Like, was I going to take that no and say, hey, I'm not going to sell these products anymore, right? Or was I going to take that no and just move forward, in the business and continue to sell the products that I needed to sell, to make, whatever it was that I was trying to make, right? And so I took that no, and I'm growing through the no, because I ask God for certain strategies on how to, move forward, how to market, how to, do things to really get the product into people's hands, so that they basically can be blessed by it, and that their life can change from the products. And so sometimes the no, as I said earlier, is a blessing in disguise, because that no helps you, and it teaches you something about yourself. It teaches you something about yourself. So sometimes no's will probably be like, well, if somebody tells me no, I'm just not gonna, do anything for them anymore. No, you can't think that way. You can't think like that. You got to take that no and grow from that no. You gotta say, okay, you know what? Because they, said no, maybe I need to do this, or maybe I need to do that, or maybe I need to, understand how I feel when somebody tells me no, right? And so you got to be able to grow through the no, because you must learn how to hear a no as an attempt to build you up. Those no's, may not feel like it's building you up, but the no's should actually build you up to help you to become who you were truly meant to be. Those no's teaches us a lot about ourselves. I'm telling you, those no's will teach you a lot about yourself, because it's all according to how you respond or how you react to the no, which will say something about you, right? So to help, so the no's will help you to become who you were truly meant to become. And see, a no should push you. It should empower you. You should be able to learn from that no. And no is not a curse word. No is not a dirty word. It's a word that sets boundaries. So sometimes when you have these no's coming your way, you got to know that some no's are just really setting boundaries for you, because those no's are going to, it's going to be a blessing in disguise for you, so you won't yield to the boundaries that were set, right? And so it makes us who we are when we hear the word no, because that no is helping us to set boundaries, and it's a word that makes even relationships worthwhile, because guess what? Those boundaries, because of the no, has been set, and now the relationships that you're in will be worthwhile because you accepted the no basically as a gift to you. Hallelujah. As a gift to you. You accepted that no as a gift to you. See, some won't accept the no. They'll just go ahead and just go right on and do whatever it is that they're going to do, regardless of the no, right? But we have to look at the no as a gift to us, because the no is going to make us a better person. It is a gift that comes in unexpected packages. And so you must learn to hear a no to grow, because no is the seed from which you will grow into the person you were meant to be. And so we can't take lightly how these no's will come our way, because those no's are gonna get us to the place that we need to be. And I know that everybody has experienced a no at some point in their life. Everybody has taken a no, basically as a rejection. When people go and apply for jobs, they may say, you may go into the interview and they may say, no, you don't got the job. And then, you walking out, because you didn't get the job, and now you're feeling all low, you're feeling all depressed, because you allowed that no, or that no rejection to get to you, but you didn't allow that no to actually grow you, because maybe God didn't want to give you that job because that job just wasn't for you. And so sometimes you got to look at that no as a gift from God. You got to look at that no as a gift from God, because God is not going to put us into position, where it's going to make us even think less of ourselves, or make us not become who God has truly created us, created us to be, or created us to become, right? And so we got to be able to take that no, as a gift from God. And we have to understand that, yes, some no's will definitely hurt us, but we have to learn from the no, and we have to grow from the no. So even when you hear the no and the no doesn't feel so good, what do you do? What do you do? How do you respond to the no that you just heard or just has been given to you? How do you respond to it? Do you respond out of anger? Do you respond out of joy? Do you respond, like, how do you respond to the no that you just heard for you, right? How do you respond to that no? And then when you hear that no, and according to what your response is, now, not your response, but your reaction to the no. Now, how are you going to respond? How are you going to respond to the no that you just heard? Because guess what? We should be growing from the no. Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to grow from a no. People look at no as, this word that, nobody should ever, be able to say, or receive. But yes, no is a gift. No is a gift from God, because God told us no. Told Adam and Eve no, they couldn't, eat from the tree of good and evil, or the tree of knowledge. They couldn't eat from that tree, but guess what? They did, but they didn't do it intentionally. Because sometimes, like when you do get a no, when someone tells you a no, you don't get it where you don't do it intentionally. You do it because someone has tempted you to do it. It's like somebody say, I double dare you do this, or I double dare you to do that. And so that tells you a lot about your response to what the lurker is saying, about you, saying, oh, you chicken, bark, 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 you chicken. Like they just go forward to see if you're really going to stand firm in the no that you were given. And sometimes people won't stand firm in the no that they was given, because the tempter or the lurker, convinced them that, they should go ahead and do it regardless of regardless of the no that they receive. And so we must be able to accept the no as a gift from God, because sometimes those no's can be a blessing in disguise. I've received so many no's in my lifetime that, those no's actually grew me. You apply for a job and you don't get it. And it may be hurtful. You get sad for a minute, but what you do is you pick yourself back up, you brush yourself back off, and then you tell yourself, okay, maybe that's not what God wanted me to have, right? So what you do is you move on and you apply for something different, and that door will probably open, because the door that you wanted to open wasn't the door that God wanted to open for you. God had a better door for you. And so when we look at the no's in that way, we'll be able to say, okay, so that wasn't for me. But guess what? God has something better for me, and so we have to look at no's in that way as well, because we got to learn from them. We got to learn from the no's. So if a no is really tearing you apart, if a no is really bringing you down or giving you anxiety or making you depressed, you need to go and sit for a minute and let God minister to you so he can explain to you why the no came in the first place. Why did the no come in the first place? And sometimes isn't a no, but sometimes it can be a not yet, right? And so if it's a not yet, even though it's a no, it could be a not yet. What God wants us to do is he wants us to learn patience, because you're not ready. You're not ready to move forward. You're not ready to do this, or you're not ready to do that, because you haven't learned. You got to learn something about yourself, or you got to learn something about that area that, God is saying not yet, so it may not be completely a no, but it could be a not yet. And sometimes when it's a not yet, that means we have to sit and we have to wait patiently on God to move on our behalf, because when we do that, when we wait patiently for God and allow him to move on our behalf, guess what? Everything works out for your good. Everything will work out for your good. And so you cannot rush, anything that God is trying to bless you with. When you begin to rush something that God, is trying to bless you with, it's not going to turn out in your favor because you was in a rush. You was in a rush to, move forward when you had received a no or the not yet. You decided that you wanted to, just go for it. And sometimes when you just go for it, it's just not going to work in your favor, because you didn't have the patience to wait on what God truly had for you. And sometimes because, we reject the no, and we move forward on our own, like in our own flesh, our flesh is telling us to go ahead and go, but God is telling us to stand still. We'll mess up the blessings that God has for us, so we can't allow blessings to pass us by because we couldn't accept the no. We got to be able to accept the no. No is not harsh. No is just not yet. There are many things that, God has shared with you. You've asked God for it. God probably wanted to bless you with it, but God said no. He said no. Because guess what? God knows the plans he has for you. And those are plans to prosper you and not harm you. And so when the no comes, it could be some plans that God is saying, you know what? No, this is not it because I want to prosper you. And then if you move on, if you move forward, without, accepting the no, you can be bringing harm to yourself. You can be bringing harm to something that God told you no, that you couldn't do. And so we have to learn and sit and wait and understand, why the no came and what is the lesson learned that we have to learn from the actual no. Because no, like I said, could be a blessing in disguise. We're not going to always get the yes, the yes. We're not going to always get that. We're not going to always get yes, 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 and yes. We're just not going to always get that. And so we have to learn how to accept a no. It's like people, females, women who want to have children, but they can't, they can't have children. They pray and they pray and they pray and they pray. And, they say, God says no, you're not, no, right? I'm reminded of another biblical story about Hannah and Peninnah. Hannah wanted to have a baby so bad, but God wouldn't allow her. Her womb was closed. She was barren. So she couldn't, have any children, no matter how much she tried. And so the lesson that she learned from the no was that she had to put, herself in a position where God could bless her. And the position that she put herself in is that she worshiped God. She worshiped him. She, gave God, her all. Like she was giving, God, what, she needed to do to be so connected to him. She was like in a real communion relationship with God that was real. And although, what's his name? Elkanah thought that she was drunk, when she was over there speaking in tongues and worshiping God, speaking in tongues, he thought she was drunk. And she was like, no, my Lord, I'm not drunk. I'm just, basically in prayer talking to God. And he was like, okay, continue to talk to God. But, as she, fasted, as she prayed, as she worshiped, she was learning, and she was growing from the no that God had said, that God, that she had received the no. Even though, it bothered her that she couldn't have kids, at that time, it bothered her, so that it put her in a position to learn to grow from the no. And when she learned to grow from the no, guess what happened? Because she did everything that she needed to do to grow from that no, she got pregnant and she had a son, right? And so sometimes there are things that God wants to prepare us for. And so we got to go through a preparation stage for even something to even come. But we can't, that something can't come if we don't go into preparation. And so we have to understand that, when that no comes, we got to learn from it. We got to say, okay, God, why did you say no? What is it that I have to do? What is my part in what I have to do to grow from the no? Right? And sometimes no means no. No means no. So even if no matter how much you do or say or whatever, no just mean no. And it's because God is keeping something, from you that could probably either harm you or that could probably set you up where there will be consequences involved. And so sometimes no just means no. So you won't have a not yet, you won't have a maybe, you won't have a yes, but no just means no. You gotta and you gotta be able to accept that. And so when that doesn't come, you have to learn from it. God, why? What do I need to do to move forward? Or, and God will sometimes share with you, exactly, okay, that's not what I have for you, daughter. That's not what I have for you, son. That's not the plans that I have for you. This is something that you want to do on your own, but this is something that, I'm saying no to, because this is something that, I'm not going to bless. I'm not going to bless it because this is not, in alignment with what, I have prepared for your life. Because remember, the word says, God created us to be workmanship, created in advance to do good works, which He prepared for us to do. I just paraphrased that, which He prepared for us to do. And so God always prepares us for the next thing in our life. He always prepares us for whatever's coming next. And so if it's a no, that means we're either not yet prepared, or it means no. No means no. And so we have to learn how to grow from the no. And when you are in that position of trying to grow from the no, you got to put yourself in a position where, you're just really meditating, on God, meditating on, what God is really trying to share with you. Meditation is really important. It's really, and it's powerful when you practice it on a daily basis, because guess what? You'll be able to hear from God even more. God will begin to show you more about yourself, and even more about why the no came in the first place. And so we have to learn how to yield ourselves, to God, so that we can receive all that God, truly has for us. And so we can't, accept no's as rejection, but we should accept the no's as a blessing in disguise. And so take that no and learn from that no, grow from that no, because that no is what's going to make you a better person. That no is what's going to make you become, you. It's going to help you to become you, the person that God has truly created you to be. It's going to help you to become you. And so, ask yourself, questions, and ponder, those questions on how you need to grow from a no. Just think about recently what where you think about recently where you received a no from, and think about that and ponder it and say, okay, why was this a no? What am I to learn from this no, or how am I to grow from this no? Sometimes God is really just trying to check us. He's trying to check us. He's trying to check our attitudes. He's trying to check our characters. He's trying to check our thought patterns. He's just trying to check us. Because, sometimes, where God wants to take you, your character, may not can handle it. Your character may not can handle it. And so that's when I talk about, where He has to prepare you. You got to be in a preparation stage to learn, about yourself. Learn about yourself so much, so that when you get to that prepared place that God has for you, guess what? You will be right. You will get there right on time, and you will do exactly what God has truly called you. Truly what God has truly called you to do. Because guess what? You put yourself in a prepared place where you was able to prepare yourself for the place that God, had prepared for you from the beginning. And so you have to make sure that, you're just really checking yourself, doing the self-evaluation, studying yourself, doing those things that, will make you become a better version of yourself, a better person, a better, wife or sister or brother or husband or uncle or whatever, whatever. It's going to help you to become, a better you, because you are doing the work to study yourself, to make sure that your character is in alignment with what God has for you. And so you just got to realize that, our character means a whole lot to God. Integrity is is what's needed, in this world today. And some don't have integrity. They don't care. They don't care about, um, how people see them and stuff like that. And it's because, they just don't. They just, you do have people in the world that just, they don't care. And so they're gonna do whatever it is that they want to do. And regardless of, the word no, they're just going to reject that no, and they're just going to move forward in their own will, and they're going to find that their own will did not keep them, in that place that they sought after. But when we stay in the will of God, when we stay in alignment with God, and don't reject the no and learn from the no, and grow from the no, guess what? When He puts us into that place is going to last. It's like seeds seeds that grow. I was reading a book that talked about, our minds is like a garden, and so whatever you water, whatever you feed that garden, that's what's going to grow, right? And so sometimes, God got to weed out some things, and that's why the no comes too, because God got to weed out some things. He got to weed out some things, so you can become a better version of you, and that good seeds, will grow in you, where it's gonna have you soaring, it's gonna have you flourishing, it's gonna have you thriving in life, because guess what? You did the work. You did the work to become, a better version of you, and to become you, to become who God has truly created you to be. I'm just so glad that, I'm able to really even speak about, the no, because no is one that people really don't, I guess, look at. They really don't look at it as a learning opportunity, because we just don't look at it that way. And when God revealed that to me, that, no is a growing opportunity. No is an opportunity to grow, to think about, how you receive that no, and how you need to better prepare for the next no. Because there's going to be many, 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 many more no's. But guess what? We'll be able to respond to it differently, because we're going to know that when we get a no, that no is going to tell us that we need to grow from something. And sometimes, it's hard to grow from something that you don't know. And sometimes we don't think that we need to grow from something that's been told no. Sometimes we don't think we need to grow because we think that, we're okay. We got it. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm good. But sometimes, everybody has to go to work on themselves, because there's something in us, and it's something in everybody that needs to learn something about themselves when it comes to someone telling you, no, you can't do this, or no, you can't do that. There's a reason why that no came. And so we have to look at that no as a blessing in disguise. So no matter how many no's, you're receiving, know that no is a blessing in disguise. Know that no is going to help you to grow. In the no, it's going to help you to grow, and it's going to help you to see yourself, even more. There are some things that we don't want to see about ourselves. We don't want to see the ugly side of ourselves, or we don't want to see the selfish side of ourselves. We don't want to, there's certain things that we don't want to see about ourselves, because guess what? We don't think there's nothing wrong with it, but God thinks there's something wrong with it when He tells you no. So He wants you to grow through it, so that your character can fit, the next move that He has for you. And so don't look at the no as a rejection, but look at the no as it's trying to grow you into something. It's trying to show you something about yourself, so that you can grow through it, so that you can grow through it. We all need to grow through something, and I want you to grow through something. And so, if you have a journal, if you have your journals, tonight, journal, just begin to journal about, the no that you just received recently, and begin, to ponder about why that no was said, why that no happened, and how did that no make you feel? What sparked in you when you heard that no, and what is it teaching you? What is that no teaching you, about yourself? and how does God want you to respond to that no? And so those are the questions that you want to answer, or ask yourself when you are journaling, so that you can hear and meditate on how you need to grow from that no. So I'm so glad that, I came on this podcast tonight to, help us to understand that, no is a gift, and we can grow from a no if we allow that no to allow us to grow from it. And so this is how we become, us. This is how you become you. This is how I become me, because we're learning through this process, of self-development, to know how to grow through certain areas of our life. And today's topic is growing from a no. And so this is part of our self-development, is that we have to learn how to grow from a no. And so thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your world. And thank you so much for listening, for tuning in on Becoming You, where you are becoming a better, successful you in life and in business. And so just make sure that, as you continue down, the road of your self-development, of your self-journey, that you do the work, you do the work that you need to do, so that you can become a better you, so that you can walk in your authentic self, and so that you can be all that God has created you to be. And so, yes, you will grow from a no, because that no is going to make you a better person. That no is going to help you to soar. That no is going to help you to thrive. That no is going to help you to flourish. That no is going to take you places where no man could ever take you but God. And so know this, that God, if God is for you, who can be against you? We just have to learn how to grow from the no.